Hey guys, Evan here. Tonight we're going to be doing a little something different. So we're going to be discussing scale within our hobby, specifically the 1/32 to 1/30th plastic figure um, ranges. Um, kind of talking about how scale has shifted, and then we're going to actually be comparing some of the different figures. So a lot has been made, especially in some of the other forums that I've viewed, about Expeditionary Force products being a little bigger than 54 millimeter when they're advertised as 54 millimeter, or some of their 60 millimeter products being advertised more or as 60 millimeter, but them actually being a little more. So within the 1/32 scale hobby, it's tended a trend has started where it's shifted from actual 54 millimeter figures like Airfix for Emil right here. Airfix is true 54 millimeters. Mars, the new company out of Ukraine, I believe, is also true 54 millimeter. Both great products, by the way. Um, but like an expeditionary force figure is actually around when it's advertised as 54 millimeters. It's so with Airfix, you measure 54 millimeters from the base or from the shoes, bottom of the shoes to the top of the hat. And then we found a problem that when you have figures like Napoleonic figures with really tall shakos versus like this Japanese figure by Airfix, the soft cap, real small, the shako is really large in size. So realistically, you can't get a good measurement of scale based on the actual like height of the total figure. So the standard now is measuring it from the feet to the eyes is 54 millimeters. And if you did take that measurement, I got a ruler here. Make sure we get it on the right side. That is inches. Well, I don't have a ruler here handy, but if you measured from the base of the foot to the eyes, it should be 54 millimeters versus the Airfix figure being 54 millimeters from all the way up to the head, or till all the way up to the head. So now we're going to do a little bit of a scale comparison with these figures here. So on the far left here, we have a Conte figure. He's an Alamo figure. We have Toy Soldiers of San Diego. He's Japanese, World War II Japanese. And then we have an Airfix Japanese figure, an Expeditionary Force Natal Native Contingent for the Zulu War. We have an American GI from World War II. And then we have a classical Greek by Expeditionary Force, a Macedonian Hypapsist by Expeditionary Force, and then one of the exquisite Greeks, or Trojans, I'm not sure, but by Ken Syak out of LOD Enterprises. He has some great stuff, very compatible with X-Force. You guys should definitely check him out. So besides that, a lot has been made, especially with the upcoming release of the 60 millimeter Waffen SS that should be coming out here in October, being 60 millimeters. So I had a discussion with Scott, and as Emil had posted earlier in our forum, he is planning on doing a separate release of those figures in 54 millimeters, strictly as to kind of dabble his foot. Get his feet wet to see how well those sell. So I'm hoping those sell well because, if I'm honest, I prefer the 54 millimeter figures in terms of World War II. But as scale goes for Expeditionary Force, anything from ancient biblical times, think of the most ancient possible, all the way up until medieval ages. So anything without gunpowder is all 60 millimeter. anything from Renaissance to World War II, and Scott has made it pretty clear he's not going beyond World War II, is going to be 54 millimeter, with the exception of World War II in Europe. So with World War II in Europe, he is going to continue the 60 millimeter range. He might run a 54 millimeter range and 60 millimeter range if those Waffen SS sell well enough, and then they might retool those Free French, American GIs, and Wehrmacht that they had already produced in 60 millimeter into 54 millimeter if those Waffen SS sell well enough. But the reason they made this decision, I'm pretty sure, to do World War II in Europe in 60 millimeter is because metal companies such as like King and Country, First Legion, some of the more kind of expensive stuff tend to be 60 millimeter. And these guys paint up really well and can be really compatible with those kind of figures. So there is a sizable market for 60 millimeter World War II. There was a lot made that they were bigger than 60 millimeters. For example, an LOD figure at 60 millimeters. Expeditionary Force GI at 60 millimeters. They're not, they are 60 millimeters. And I want to clarify that specifically only World War II Europe is 60 millimeter. So the upcoming Japanese that should be out within just a few days are going to be 54 millimeter. Any Pacific War range in the future, if he does the desert campaigns in North Africa from World War II, will be 54 millimeter. As far as anything in Europe goes, Soviet troops, British, whatever. I know he's mentioned to me a couple different plans, but those are all supposed to be in 60 millimeter. However, like I said, just to reiterate, make those Waffen SS sell because then I'll have them out in 54 millimeter too. For Eddie White, I will be doing a gluing video here pretty soon, just for those people that would like to just see how the process of putting the figures together are made. I know when you first, I don't know, when I first saw a box of X-Force open, I was kind of skeptical just seeing the different parts together, but some of the best figures made when you get them together. I mean, it's, and also you kind of develop a love for putting the figures together. It's really relaxing. You can just hang out and it kind of gets your mind off things. And then we were talking about different glues the other day to use. I personally use this Loctite super glue. It's quick drying. It can get on your hands pretty easy. You can use the gel stuff, but it's a little more expensive, I think, and it doesn't really, I don't know, it goes pretty quick versus these. These will do like $3, $4, $5 sets. I think that's everything I have today. Let you get another good look at the figures. But yeah, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. Please drop a comment and let me know what you think.